out. It does look like it will be Noah Osbaldeston for the second time this season who claims pole position. No bonus points, so that won't bring him closer to Traffic King and Jake Hewlett in the championship, but of course does give him an advantage in the races as Stanley Wolf goes up to fourth fastest in that black and gold machine. 17-year-old from Buckinghamshire. Doing a great job there. As we have our other king, James King, in the crocodile liveried number 23 machine. Former Armed Forces Race Challenge competitor. And checkered flag is now out, so these will be the final laps. And in fact, James King doesn't even get to complete that one. So it is Noah Osbaldeston who will start from pole position for race 1. Jake Hewlett alongside him, and Traffic King, the championship leader, top 3 in the championship, line astern on the grid for this first race of the evening. That will mark the end of the 2025-26 Winter Championship. It'll be Stanley Rolfe completing the second row of the grid with Luca Monroe, who took his first victory last time out in the BMW M2 at Navarra in that rainbow car, the number 56 machine. Then James Ellis in 6th position. Jackson Carden, a podium contender throughout the season, will start in 7th, and then Tortola in the number 5 machine in 8th position. Completing the top 10 will be Alex Stockton, another multiple podium finisher, and James King, a race winner back at the first meeting of the season, and a race winner at the Formula V meeting on this circuit. Paul Forsyth and Arjun Salem, the DH Racing mechanic, Mark Crawford, Harry Prying, and Lewis Barker completing the order as the engine notes rise. And we are racing for the first time tonight. Lovely start by Noah Osbaldeston, and Traffic King immediately moves past his nearest championship rival into second place. Osbaldeston, oh, big drama and big contact further back. 3 cars going into the runoff area at Abbey for the first time of asking, and that has given the top 3 an awful lot of breathing space, almost as if it was scripted for the championship contenders to battle it out. Dramas for Luca Monroe, our most recent race winner. He got pitched round going through the loop section, manages to rejoin just in front of some of the traffic. Look at the advantage, though, of the top 3 as they make their way down the Wellington Straight for the first time and into Brooklands. Noah Osbaldeston running the livery of his Sports 1000 car of this year, the black and orange machine. We ride on board with the championship leader. Round Woodcut and heading towards Cops Corner. Traffic King in between the man who is 3rd in the championship and the man who is 2nd in the championship, his nearest rival. Although Osbaldeston's still technically in it, we're looking realistically between Hewlett and King for the championship. The 2 drivers who have won the series over the last 2 seasons and have done the bulk of the winning so far this year. Traffic King with 6 victories to his name so far this season. Jake Hewlett with 4. Noah Osbaldeston starting to stretch a small advantage as they head down the Hanger Straight for the first time. Jake Hewlett is not letting the championship leader out of his sight, running a little bit wide on the exit of Stowe Corner. That'll probably be his first incident point of the race. Just a little bit deep into the Vale chicane, and look how much time. One little mistake there has cost Jake Hewlett. He was right on the tail end of Trafford King on the exit of Stowe, and 2 corners later, there's about 5 car lengths between them. End of lap 1, lapping much quicker around here than the real world Radical Club Challenge. The fastest cars there, the SR1s. Lapping about 10 seconds slower. The lap record for the Radical Club Challenge in the real world is a 2:16.55 set by Charles Hall in 2023 around the Grand Prix track. And the Radical Club Challenge will be going to Silverstone twice in 2026 on both the national and international layouts. Remember, all these car track combinations that we've run throughout the season, they're all inspired by real-world 750 Motor Club competition. We've had MX-5 competition, we've had Formula Vs, Clios, and BMWs. It's on a variety of different circuits. Jake Hewlett, having lost a lot of time to Traffic King, has been able to regroup and get back onto the rear wing of Traffic King as they make their way around Maggots and Beckett's. He is tucked right up behind the number 42 car in the DH Racing colours, the colours that Traffic King runs on his real-world Type R trophy machine. He's battled Jake Hewlett in the real world in that championship as well, so he knows all the tricks that Hewlett is going to pull. Both of them champions of the Type R trophy championship, with Jake Hewlett going on to pastures new after winning the title a couple of years ago. Traffic King winning the title last year. Great battling here as just behind them we have James Ellis, 2.1 seconds back from this podium battle, with James King up 5 places from where he qualified. Great stuff from him. Luca Monroe, despite being pitched around on the opening lap at the loop, in 6th position ahead of Arjun Salan, as it closes up again between the top 2 in the championship. As it stands, Traffic King would be extending his advantage, 43 points the advantage he has, with 90 on offer for tonight. After this race there'll be 60 left, so this won't be enough for Traffic King to win the championship with 2 races to spare, but if he maintains a similar advantage, he can wrap up the championship in race 2. Slightly different lines around the Brooklands and Luffield section of the racetrack. It's part of the appeal of many of the corners at Silverstone, which does allow for various different lines, and part of the reason why racing is so good. Oh, a little mistake though from Traffic King was there. Just an excellent run by Jake Hewlett, because they're side by side going into the S's, and Jake Hewlett is through into 2nd place and ahead of his championship rival. So great stuff there from Jake Hewlett, whether that was a small mistake from Traffic King on the exit of Cops or just a great run by Hewlett. But Traffic King with the slipstream now down the hanger straight will try to take 2nd place back, but tucks in behind his championship rival into Stowe. And that little squabble there just going into Maggots and Beckett's has cost them more than half a second to James Ellis, who could be on the back of them pretty quickly if they continue to squabble. James Ellis, who has been on the podium this season, was 2nd in the MX-5 endurance race at Alton Park. Jake Hewlett starting to pull away from Traffic King though. Already pulled a 2nd on the inaugural champion. Slightly further back we have the likes of Tortola in 7th position ahead of Jackson Carden, Arjun Salan, who's dropped a couple of places in recent laps, and Alex Stockton. And in fact, Stockton just moved up tonight ahead of Salan with a move down the inside into Village. Tortola, the low-cost racer, leading this pack of cars in the green and grey machine, the crocodile livery. Being chased by Jackson Carden, the 16-year-old from Warrington, who made his Type R Trophy debut last year. Both podium finishers so far this season. Jackson Carden with 4 to his name, Tortola with 2, both of them coming in the opening meeting of the season, which was the MX-5 Cup at Brands Hatch on the Indy circuit, that was. Oh, listen to the commitment, the first part of Maggots and Beckett's. That is beautiful. So much downforce in these SR8s. So much grunt as well. Great way into prototype racing is the Radical platform. There are many drivers who go on to race Novas and LMP3 cars off the back of learning in these machines. Tortola, who leads Jackson Carden in the battle for 7th position through the Vale chicane and out of club. And what is now the Sir Lewis Hamilton straight. Still half a second between them, but it is the closest battle on the racetrack. Oh, Luca Munro seemingly having some problems there. Oh no, that's not Luca Munro. I think that is Paul Forsyth potentially going very slowly. Looked like Luca Munro's car, some of the rainbow livery on it, but I think that's Paul Forsyth who was just moving very slowly. Jackson Carden really closing up in the slipstream and under braking for Brooklands. And look at that, spying a gap on the inside. There was probably only about half a car's width on the actual racetrack, and he made up the rest of it on the curbing. Great battling in the middle stages of this race. 6 minutes left on the clock. A lot of curb taken there by Jackson Carden as he chases Tortella. Former Formula V racer as well as Tortella, the 22-year-old from Derby. Finding a home for himself in low-cost competition. Will be back in that championship for 2026, so he tells us. Up front, 1.3 seconds now between Jake Hewlett and Trafford King. Meanwhile, Noah Osbaldeston, we've neglected him so far in this race because he's pulled 4.5 seconds to the chasing field. Now, this is probably the closest car to what he's been racing in the real world over the last 12 months, which is the Sports 1000s machine, which is very similar, you know, motorcycle powered baby prototypes. It was his first year of car racing last year, was for Noah Osbaldeston. And a race winner at Brands Hatch. Got to be there for that one. Reporting from the pit lane. And he is doing a mighty job out there. Doing everything he needs to do to keep his championship hopes technically alive. But will need a little bit of interference. I think from both Jake Hewlett and James Trafford King. As James Ellis now only about 6-7 tenths of a second away from Trafford King in the battle for 3rd position. I didn't mean to say the meme there. That was just how it came out. But James Ellis is very much keeping Trafford King honest here. Youngster. 17-year-old. In his Cool Camel iRacing team colours. 4.6 seconds ahead of James King. So they've got space to play with 4 minutes left on the clock now. So one of the most satisfying sections of the racetrack, of any racetrack you'll find anywhere in the world. Just enjoying listening to the 2.6 litre V8 for a little bit there. Down into the Vale chicane. And Ellis very much keeping the pressure on Trafford King here, who's now about 2 seconds behind his nearest championship rival. I have a sneaking suspicion, just doing quick mental arithmetic, that this result would mathematically eliminate Noah Osbaldeston from the... well, no, it would be very... I think by 1 point he's remaining in it, because Osbaldeston would be on 230. Trafford King would be on 301. So, no, excuse me, that would, that would mathematically eliminate Noah Osbaldeston from championship contention. I think unless there were to be some major dramas later on, because of course Noah has dropped significant number of points. He loses 40 points in the drop scores with the way things are going. But as it stands, we'll be left with 2 official contenders. James Ellis really closing onto the back of Trafford King now. We can ride on board with him while we see what's happening off board as well. We're moving on to the final lap of the race now. So if Ellis does have anything left in the clock... Oh, big clobber of the curb there. Did very well to gather that up, but that has cost him about half a second or so. And I think is probably the best news that Trafford King might have got all day, because I think that's just given him enough of a safety net for this final lap. Had that mistake not happened there from James Ellis, I think Trafford King would be under serious threat for the last spot on the podium, but that's just slightly too much curb in the Vale chicane. Delayed Ellis on the power and just gave half a second or so there to Trafford King. Nonetheless, a superb effort here from James Ellis, who we're hoping will find a home in some championship or another for 2026. Last time we spoke to him, still looking for opportunities to get back into the real world competition, having competed in Ginetta Juniors in 2024. Still battles to be decided. Tortella and Jackson Carden still going at it for 7th position. That's still to be decided on this final lap of the race. A couple of opportunities left through Stowe and then into the Vale chicane for these guys. I imagine Noah Osbaldeston will be meeting the checkered flag any moment now. So these two close up and head towards Stowe for the final time in this race anyway. Nothing doing there. Where are the leaders though? Osbaldeston 5 seconds to the good over Jake Hewlett. And I imagine will have crossed the line by now. He certainly will have. So it's Noah Osbaldeston who's taken victory in race 1 in the Radical Club Challenge at Silverstone. And that is, astonishingly, his first victory of the season. He has threatened to do this for 5 rounds, has come awfully close a number of times. A pantheon of consistent top 4, top 5 finishes. And now finally on the top step of the podium. Cracking effort there from Noah Osbaldeston, who finishes ahead of championship rivals Jake Hewlett and Trafford King. But with that, I think is mathematically eliminated from the championship. He's on 230. Trafford King in 3rd position, gets 20 points for that one, so that puts him on 301, and then 24 points for Jake Hewlett. So 238 puts him on 262. So he has closed up by 4 points to Trafford King. The math for Jake Hewlett is actually really very easy because he's missed a round of the championship, so he doesn't lose anything. Already on the grids then for race 2. This is a top 10 reverse grid race based on the result that we just saw. So it's Stanley Rolfe on pole position ahead of Alex Stockton and Jackson Carden. Engine notes rising. We are racing already. And look at that lovely start there from the 3rd place Alex Stockton. And Jackson Carden. Oh, more dramas for Luca Monroe, though, as he gets pitched around again, this time at Abbey. Stanley Rolfe making his way through the runoff area. And it is side by side for the lead of the race between Jackson Carden and Alex Stockton. It's Carden in the black and orange machine on the inside of the loop that just about manages to squeeze through. These two have had plenty of podium finishes throughout the season. Now battling for the early lead here in race 2 in the Radical Club Challenge. Tortella in 3rd position. Trafford King already up to 4th. Ahead of James Ellis and ahead of James King. Noah Osbaldeston, our race 1 winner, in 7th position, but some dramas for Jake Hewlett by the looks of it. Only in 10th position as it stands. He needs to be taking more points away from Trafford King. Remember, this is the race where Trafford King could be crowned the champion. Heading towards Copse Corner for the first time. Jackson Carden starting to pull away a little bit as Tortola mounts a challenge for 2nd place. Runs a little bit wide on the exit of Copse, but manages to use some momentum still to just draw an overlap. No, it has to bail out of that by the time they get into Maggots and Beckett's. And so Toller settles into 3rd position, but a slightly wide moment there for Stockton in the middle of that complex. And so the 31-year-old from York is going to have his mirrors full. Tortola to the inside down the hanger straight. He'll have the line going into Stowe Corner. And this should be a change for 2nd place. The low-cost racer goes through. And now Stockton's mirrors will be filled with the championship leader, the champion-elect, as it stands. Oh, dramas though as Stockton gets round, and more dramas. That was Jake Hewlett. That was Jake Hewlett round, the championship protagonist round at Club Corner. We just saw a glimpse of the yellow machine. Trafford King managed to find his way through the Harem Scarum, not without losing a place to Noah Osbaldeston, but that's a bit moot as it stands because Jake Hewlett is down in 12th place and now way off his championship rivals. Hewlett already setting about making up some of those places as he gets past Mark Crawford, but the damage has been done now for Jake Hewlett. Trafford King in a great position. Meanwhile, Jackson Carden is out front by 1.7 seconds after that first lap. This is Arjun Salan. In the black and white machine just ahead of James King, who does have a near identical livery to Tortola, I believe, for tonight, so that the crocodile livery. Race 1 winner, though, Noah Osbaldeston, straight onto the back of Tortola for 2nd place. This has been a great day for Noah Osbaldeston, who's been finding more and more confidence on the podium in every race in the BMWs at Navarra. And already with 10 podium finishes to his name for this season. We're talking about the consistency and the points he's dropping. He's losing so many of them as he goes down the inside into the Vale chicane, takes 2nd place away from Tortola. The reason he's dropping so many of these points is because his worst results are a 12th, a 5th, and a 6th. So he is dropping more points than most guys out there in terms of the drop scores. This certainly won't be one of them. Up into 2nd place and 1.4 seconds to race leader Jackson Carden. There is a chance here that Osbaldeston can go back-to-back. So James Ellis on the recovery. Dramas at the first corner for him, but this is Ellis now up into 6th position. Just ahead of Arjun Salan, Stanley Rolfe and Luca Monroe. He's on board with Salan, who joined us midway through the season. And just trying to keep Stanley Rolfe at bay. Oh, a little mistake though as he ran wide on the exit of Brooklands. And that compromised his entry into Luffield. So through goes Stanley Rolfe up into 7th position. And Luca Monroe trying to take advantage of that as well. This is Osbaldeston though, who's carved into the lead of Jackson Carden. It was 1.7 seconds about a lap ago. It's now less than a second. I know what Osbaldiston doing a great job. We're not sure where Noah will be racing this year. As mentioned, he won't be sticking around in Sports 1000s. We look forward to seeing him moving up the racing ladder, as there's an awful lot of talent in this youngster. That's your top four in one shot there. Jackson Carden, Noah Osbaldiston, Tortola, and Trafford King, the champion in waiting. Trying to get himself onto the podium as well, ahead of Tortola. And as I mentioned earlier, has not been on the podium since the first meeting of the season in very different machinery. Using that curb on the entry of Copse, trying to open it up. And then slowing things down through the village and loop section that was added in 2010. Little moment there for the race leader, and that's opened up the door for Noah Osbaldiston on the exit of the loop, and through entry, Noah Osbaldiston into the lead of the race. Jackson Carden is not taking that line down, though, as he's still got his nose just alongside the youngster. They go side by side into Brooklands, but Osbaldiston, the race one winner, goes back into the lead from 10th on the grid in this reverse grid race. Osbaldiston looks unstoppable out there at the moment. So now the question is, who's going to be joining him on the podium? We're only just approaching half race distance in this one, as Tortola tries to keep Trafford King at bay. Nose to tail through Copse Corner there as the championship leader stares at the back of the low-cost racer. Both of these guys are real-world 750 Motor Club competitors. We talked about Trafford King's Type R Trophy Championship. Spent a few years now in that series. And Tortola in low cost and Formula V racing. Down the hanger straight, lovely slipstream here for Trafford King in that white and minty green machine. The colours of his DH Racing Type R that he races in the real world. Say as well, Jackson Carden is not letting Noah Osbaldiston clear off into the distance. Tick off another lap then, 7 minutes to go in this second race of the night. And it is still King following Tuller through Abbey and around Farm. This is where the lead changed hands a lap ago. King gathering up some oversteer on the exit of the loop, slowest corner on the racetrack. And unleashing all 380 horsepower from the 2.6 litre V8 down into Brooklands. Much tighter line on the exit there for Trafford King, trying to square the car up and get the run onto the old pit straight. Got to be careful with cutting that curb, and iRacing considers the half car width as the track limit, but there are some places you can exploit it. I think that is one of them. He'll look to the outside there from Trafford King, just trying to find himself some clean air on the way into the Maggots and Beckett's complex. King on course here, even if he doesn't make it onto the podium, for his second championship in the 750 Motor Club Winter Sim Series. 2 wheels on the curb on the way in, trying to open up the corner, trying to find some clean air as well. These are downforce dependent cars. There will be turbulent air being kicked up. Obviously not as much as some of the high-end single-seaters, but certainly enough to cause some problems. Big oversteer moment there for Tortola in the middle of the club chicane, and that is an open door in the end for Trafford King to sail into third position now. Trafford King on course to win the championship with a race to spare as things stand. 5 minutes left on the clock. It's Noah Osbaldeston looking to go back-to-back. He's 1.5 seconds clear now of Jackson Carden, who initially was able to stick with young Osbaldeston, but Noah just starting to pull away a little bit. Trafford King now up into 3rd position after that little mistake from Tortola in the middle of the Vale chicane. It is James King in 3rd position, just ahead of James Ellis. Luca Monroe in 7th. Jake Hewlett on the recovery up to 8th position, but it's not going to be enough to keep his championship hopes alive for another race. Stanley Rolfinage and Sam completing the top 10. I'll just do some provisional math, because this would put Osbaldeston on 260. And Trafford King on 321. So yeah, 51 points difference. Although there is an argument to be made that Osbaldeston can gain 16 of those points back. No, that won't be enough. If Osbaldeston were to not take part in the final race, he would gain 16 points back. But that wouldn't be enough to close down the gap that Trafford King has. Especially considering King would be getting 15 points back if he didn't finish inside the top 6 in the final race anyway. So 2 minutes left on the clock then in the penultimate race of the season. And hopefully there will be time between the end of this race and the start of race 3 for us to grab a quick word with Trafford, fresh out of race 2. Jake Hewlett looking at 7th position now. Remember, was caught up in that spin at the Vale chicane earlier on. Oh, looking one way, looking the other, and back the first way again. But not disrupting Luca Monroe on the way into Stowe. Certainly has a run on him on the way out of the corner to the outside of the Vale chicane. And a lovely pass there around the outside of Luca Monroe, race winner in the BMWs in the reverse grid race. And that is Jake Hewlett now up into 7th position. But will be losing his championship status in a couple of minutes' time to Trafford King, the inaugural champion. Got clear space around about 0.8 of a second to Tortola behind him. 3 seconds to Jackson Carden ahead of him. Battle of the Jameses still to be settled here on this final lap of the race, with James King and James Ellis fighting over 5th position. Jake Hewlett will like seeing them squabble, because it will give him an opportunity to close in. But it is the former Ginetta racer against the former Armed Forces Race Challenge competitor in the number 23 machine. That grey and green car. James Ellis having his nose cut across. They turned right-handed into the Maggots Beckett's complex, and Jake Hewlett now right with them as the checkered flag is being readied for Noah Osbaldeston. And Trafford King, the champion in waiting, there he is in third position, about to take his second championship in the 750 Motor Club Winter Sim Championship with a third place finish. Here comes Noah Osbaldeston. They're like buses. You wait all season for one to come in one night. Noah Osbaldeston takes back-to-back victories with a win in the reverse grid race. But in third position, it is championship number 2 for Trafford King. Remarkable campaign from the Type R Trophy champion. Now adds a second sim title to his ranks as well. Well done to Jackson Carden, who finished in second place once again. I should give him the shout out. That is his 5th podium of the season. But the celebratory donuts as King celebrates his title. Still a race to spare, but 6 wins to his name and 12 podiums so far. It's been another awesome campaign. We've thoroughly enjoyed watching his battles out on track. So yeah, just to confirm, Trafford King on 321 points as it stands. Jake Hewlett on 262. With just 30 points left available. Now Osbaldeston on 260 with the drop scores applied. So we do have Noah Osbaldeston lined up for a quick chat. 2-time winner already tonight. And yeah, like I said, first victory of the season, which sounded incredible to say, actually. I hadn't actually realized that until after they took the checkered flag. It seems bizarre to me that Noah has not won a race so far this season, but it has become our 5th different winner in the 2025-26 campaign. And in fact, we can hear from Noah now. Noah, right at the end of the season, and finally your first victories.
Finally, yes. It only took the whole season, but no, we're here finally. So yeah, it's just mix of emotions, really. I feel like I'm happy on one end, on one shoulder. I'm happy to finally get the first win into the year, and then the other shoulder is telling me, why is it taking you this long? Like. It's disappointing as well, but no, it's disappointing on one hand, and I'm really happy on the other hand. So yeah, mixed bag of emotions.
Well, in fairness, you've had some unlucky moments throughout the season. I think all the way back to the MX5s at Brands Hatch, the first meeting of the season. You were locked in battle there, and you got a bit unlucky. And in fairness, your consistency throughout the season has been fantastic.
Yeah, that's definitely been a key element. I think to my championship run. It's been consistently in the top 5 or the top 6 the whole year. But fair play to Trafford. I think he's wrapped up the championship now, and he's just been a little bit quicker over the course of the season. So again, hats off to him. He's driven an amazing season, and I think if I come back next year and do the same thing again, I definitely got to learn some different cars, because again, it's sort of, for me, I hadn't quite driven a lot of cars in the season, and I thought it'd be okay. And yeah, like Trafford is just really, really quick across all the cars he's driven. So yeah, really congratulations to him, and hopefully from the final race 3 I can do some more the same.
Yeah, my math also is saying Trafford is champion, but I think it's no surprise you're quick in this car. It's probably the closest thing to the Sports 1000 that you were racing in the real world last year.
Yeah, I was gonna mention as well. I'm pretty sure you interviewed me at my first win at Brands Hatch as well in the post race.
I did, yes.
You did, yeah. So maybe I'm gonna have to bring you along to a few more of my races because it's the good luck charm. Yeah, it's definitely the closest thing. I've used it a little bit in the simulator for preparation, but it's these kind of prototype cars. I feel like I'm driving the most. I'm the most fine tuned to. It's what I do a lot of training in. Thanks to Iron Coach as well. They provide amazing support in these prototype cars for my real life season. So being able to implement the same skills and techniques in the sim is definitely helped me.
You mentioned you're moving on from Sports 1000s for this year. Have you got a hint as to what you've got lined up for your real world racing?
Well, the plan was to move on from Sports 1000s, but unfortunately, in the minute we were looking originally to Funyo potentially in France, but slight logistical issues and there's not a huge amount of prototype options in the UK. You've got Sports 1000, you've got maybe Sports 2000, Radical, and Equip, and just the whole situation of what I could and couldn't do due to a whole mix of reasons. It may be potentially going to be another year of Sports 1000s. Again, it's still very in the terms of motorsport world. It's still quite early to tell really what's going to happen. But what I can say is I will be racing something, and hopefully I'm going to be at the front again.
Well, that is really good news to hear. If you do head out to France, there is loads of prototype options out there. I know they have all the Novas out there as well in Ultimate Cups. So, yeah, well, we look forward to seeing you at whatever you're going to be racing in this year.
Thank you very much. All right, take care, guys.
Cheers, Noah. And good luck for race 3 as well, which will be coming up shortly. Now, I wonder if we are going to squeeze in one more interview before we go to race 3. But while I wait to find out, let me just remind everyone who's watching on, if you are enjoying the sim action that you're seeing and you fancy giving it a go in the real world, well, that's what the 750 Motor Club is all about. We are the home of affordable racing. If you do head to the 750 Motor Club website, which is 750mc.co.uk, one of the first things you will see is a little button that says Start Racing, and there will give you all the information on how to get your Go Racing pack from Motorsport UK, which you can get for £115. All the best places to get your ARDS test done, which you can do for as little as £250. Where to get all the right kit, etc., etc. And so you can get everything you need for less than you think. And when you do get your license, 750 Motor Club has more than 20 different formula of championships for you to choose from, 5 of which have inspired the competition of this sim championship. We've got single seaters, we've got hot hatches, we've got saloons and coupes, GT style machinery, prototypes like we're seeing here with the Radicals and the Sports 1000s, front wheel drive machinery, rear wheel drive machinery, mixtures of sprint championships and endurance championships. The best value for money racing you'll find in the UK, and the best grid sizes as well. So do check out the options. There are plenty of foundation programs that are being run through the many partners of the 750 Motor Club. One of them running at the moment is from MEV Kit Cars in the Sports Specials Championship. So you could own a brand new factory built MEV Exocet with all the entry and registration and admin fees for this year's season for less than £20,000. And that includes coaching and mechanical support and a track day, I believe, as well. Speaking of the 2026 season, registration has opened today. So if you're competing in the 750 Motor Club in 2026 and you haven't registered yet, go ahead and do so, because that has now opened. And we are soon to be heading to Donington Park for the pre-season track day. That'll be on Sunday, the 8th of March, where everyone is welcome to do some testing There will be 750 Motor Club staff on site to answer any questions that you may have. There'll be a Motorsport UK scrutineer as well to make sure your cars are running to the regulations so that you don't get any nasty surprises when you go to the first meeting of the season. And in just over a week's time, we'll be celebrating the champions of 2025 as well at the Leonardo Hotel. Meanwhile, we turn our attention back to the racetrack for one final time in the 2025-26 Winter Sim Championship by virtue of victory in Race 2. Noah Osbaldeston starts on pole position ahead of Jackson Carden and Trafford King, your top three. Keep an eye for Jake Hewlett, the yellow car, in 7th position as well as the engine notes rise. And for the final time this season, we are racing. Lovely start from Noah Osbaldeston from pole position. Trafford King not quite getting the launch that he had in race 1. Side by side for the lead. That was Carden. Slips up the inside into Abbey, but doesn't quite manage to draw an overlap on the two-time winner so far tonight. Much cleaner start, much less smoke in the background. Everybody seemingly safely through the first few corners this time as Osbaldeston has to go defensive into the loop. Now that's going to compromise his exit out of here, around Aintree and all the way down the Wellington Straight. And that surely will be an invitation for Jackson Carden, who probably knows that if he's going to try and beat Osbaldeston in this race, he needs to strike early. James Ellis pops into the inside. Everybody else in a lovely, neat queue going into Brooklands. Ellis up into 5th position, but it's Jake Hewlett with the best start from 7th up to 4th and on the back of Trafford King. So once again, the top two in the championship line astern. A couple of cars kicking up some gravel on the exit of Luffield, but nothing too terribly dramatic, as there's a lovely queue of cars. Look at that, the whole field pretty close together as they head through Copse for the first time. Jake Hewlett with another good run here out of Copse. This is where he passed Trafford King in race 1, and this is where he does it again with James Ellis also showing his nose on the inside, and King had to leave him some space. They're side by side in the middle of the Maggots and Beckett's complex, and James Ellis with an audacious and opportunistic pass there on the new champion. But that was cracking stuff, and King will not take that line down. He's already trying to take back one of those places that he lost, down into 5th position now with Ellis up to 4th and Hewlett in 3rd. A little wide there for Jackson Carden as well on the exit of Stowe. That's an invitation for Hewlett, but he settles in behind going into the Vale chicane. Look on the inside from Luca Munro in the rainbow car on James King. He doesn't quite manage to make that one work. Oh, Jackson Carden with a mistake. And so that allows Hewlett up into 2nd position from 7th to 2nd in one lap of racing for Jake Hewlett. James Ellis now up in 3rd with Trafford King, and now Jackson Carden down in 4th and seemingly still struggling as he's got everybody behind him and filling his mirrors. Luca Munro on the inside of James King into Village, and in fact the two Crocodile cars very nearly getting together, and James King is round at the loop with damage to his front end. Not ideal at all. We rejoin the battle for 2nd place as Noah Osbaldeston checks out. Could do the triple here, which no one has done this season. We've seen it a couple of times. It's been done by Trafford King and Jake Hewlett, if memory serves me correctly, but no one has done it this season. 1.8 seconds is advantage over Hewlett in the yellow car. Then James Ellis in 3rd, Trafford King in 4th. Starting to gap Jackson Carden ever so slightly. Nearly a second ahead as see Luca Munro chasing after Carden, who was running in 2nd place before that little error. Not the first time he's made a small mistake at the Vale chicane. Battle for 2nd position makes its way onto the Hangar Straight. It's a V8 Symphony down there. Fairly equidistant between Hewlett and Ellis and King. A cool camel car just closing in ever so slightly through at Stowe, actually. And then, of course, does so under braking with the Constantina effect, bringing the cars closer together. Slightly wide moment there for Trafford King. He just got a little too hot on the brakes, I think, going into the club chicane. The Vale chicane, I should say. Less than half a second between Hewlett and Ellis They make their way through Abbey. So we also ride on board with Traffic King, who's got the best seat in the house for this battle. But starting to slip back. It's still the time loss. It only takes a smaller mistake in a slow speed corner for you to lose a significant amount of time. So back into Brooklands and Jake Hewlett. Oh, lock up there from James Ellis, not for the first time tonight. Jake Hewlett, a fellow Type R Trophy champion in his debut season. Equally adept to sim competition. We mentioned a now former champion of this championship, but also part of the Coanda Sim Sports team. A real world and esports coach. In fact, gave up his job as a fiber engineer to focus on that. And we'll have to settle for the vice champion slot this time around, but could well end the campaign with a podium finish. Oh, that's a good noise, isn't it, on the exit of Chapel. The gap up front coming down ever so slightly, just by a couple of tenths of a second. I'm sure Osbaldeston knows that once he keeps it neat and tidy, should have the raw speed to keep Hewlett at bay. It's the 17-year-old from Macclesfield, James Ellis. Tries to get onto the back of the much more experienced Jake Hewlett, needs to be said. Well, we've got a combination of the youngsters and the more experienced runners up at the front, all with real-world racing experience, most of them in the 750 Motor Club. We've got Osbaldeston and Ellis as the teenage racers, Hewlett and King both in their 30s. I mentioned that the gap was coming down slightly while Osbaldeston has responded. The gap now up to 2 seconds as he hunts his third consecutive victory of the night, which is not something that anyone has done all season long. Join a very elite group to have taken victories. We've certainly had more winners than any other season, with Osbaldeston becoming our 5th different winner. Trafficking having dropped off the back of the battle for second place, closing up on James Ellis as well now. And they are still gapping Jackson Carden behind at 1.8 seconds or so. But I imagine if they do start fighting, that would close down pretty quickly. Out of the loop and around Aintree and back down the Wellington Straight. Gap to Carden continuing to grow by 0.2 of a second in that first sector of the lap. 6.5 minutes left on the clock. 6.5 minutes left in the season. And Hewlett starting to find his feet a little bit more, with Ellis just slightly starting to drop off the back of the yellow submarine. Monroe in the background, they're closing in on Carden as well. The 29-year-old has won Sim Championships in the Abruzzi prototype challenge. Oh, it's Balderston here, hoping to find a prototype future. We just heard him say in our post-race interview. So, opportunities in France for him. Funyo, and been lucky enough to be in the Ultimate Cup paddock for the last 2 seasons as well. They've got a cracking little prototype, the Nova, as well, which is a great gateway into LMP3 competition. As of course is Radical Machinery and the likes of Alim Geshev and Alexander Bukantsov have cut their teeth in Radical competition before making their way into ACO competition. Jackson Carden starts to be closed in on. He's been passed by Luca Monroe, and so now is down into 6th position and has got Stanley Rolfe for close company now. Oh, what's happened to James Ellis? Side by side here with Trafford King on the exit of Luffield. They go side by side down the old pit straight, Hamilton and Verstappen style. It's Ellis on the inside. King tries to brave it out around the outside of Copse. Is left sufficient space on the outside and still has a nose alongside. They've already gone side by side into this corner once already in this race, and still they are side by side. Oh my goodness, this is fantastic racing. And eventually King has to yield and tuck back in behind the young Ginetta racer. But that was supreme side by side action. We're going to be treated to some more of it as King pulls to the outside of Stowe, cuts back to the other side and tries to get the run out of the corner. But Ellis is putting that car in all the right places as it stands. Or has he run just a bit too deep into the Vale chicane? King tries to get the run on the exit of the corner. It's not quite enough though. So again, Ellis with superb defense on that lap. 3 minutes left on the clock, so that should be 2 laps to go in this season. And will Ellis be able to finish off the season on the podium and deny the champion-elect? Oh, blinking though from James Ellis there. That is not going to make things easy for King at all. Hopefully that was just a blip on the internet connection there for James Ellis, because if it persists for the remaining 3 minutes of the race, that is going to definitely cause some problems. All fine going into Brooklands. Now into Luffield. This is where they started going side by side a lap ago. No such dramas this time. King a couple of car lengths back from Ellis as they make their way down the old pit straight once again. Closing in on the slipstream, but has to settle back in behind. Through Copse, and this is going to be a part of the racetrack where King is going to suffer in the turbulent air. Look how much time they've lost to Jake Hewlett. It's 4.1 seconds now that Hewlett is clear of these guys while they've been squabbling. Great stuff, and King has been able to hold a pretty good distance to Ellis through the Maggots and Beckett's complex, and now will close up in the slipstream down the hanger straight. Once again, is forced to the outside of Stowe. Cuts back again, very close on the exit of the corner. But again, Ellis knows where to park the car. Much later on the brakes, though, for King. Tried to go around the outside, but could see the doors being shut there, and King nearly loses it, in fact, on the exit of the corner. So that has created significant distance between those two cars as we head on to the final lap of the race. And that should keep James Ellis in a very healthy position indeed for this final tour of the circuit. Marvellous battle for third position between James Ellis and Trafford King, as it's all kicking off behind them, with Jackson Carden trying to regain that place on Luca Monroe, and has been able to do so. around the outside of Aintree, back up into 5th position. And Monroe needs to be careful because he's got Stanley Rolfe waiting to pounce on him side by side as Rolfe goes down the inside into Brooklands. Monroe very nearly going into the back of him, in fact, as he tried to cut underneath the JPS liveried car. Line astern as they make their way out of Luffield and around Woodcote. These guys are nearly 4 seconds behind the podium battle, but enjoying the squabble nonetheless. 10 seconds left on the clock, with the checkered flag will be readied for Noah Osbaldeston. Sure, Luca Monroe will have a look at Stanley Rolfe in the closing stages of this race. And I said they were like buses at the end of race 2. Well, this is like tube trains now, as Noah Osbaldeston comes out of the Vale chicane and out of club and does a clean sweep of the final race day of the 750 Motor Club Winter Sim Championship, powered by Grid Finder. Jake Hewlett comes across the line in 2nd place, with James Ellis beating Trafford King to the line after a remarkable defence. Trafford King in 4th position across the line. Great stuff there, as it was, I think Stanley Rolfe did manage to beat Luca Monroe to the line. A great battling in the final race of the season. The same top 2 that we had in race 1, but joined by James Ellis at this time. That was properly good racing, and some celebratory burnouts from Trafford King, also from James Ellis as well, after they enjoyed a great fight. Some donuts as well from Stanley Rolfe as we celebrate the end of the season, the end of the 3rd edition of the 750 Motor Club Winter Sim Championship, powered by Grid Finder. It's been a hugely popular addition to the traditional off-season. Gives drivers an opportunity to try out a variety of different machines that they don't normally race in the virtual world, and has provided us with some great entertainment as well. Look at that, can't even see the cars anymore. Well, thoroughly enjoyable stuff, as hopefully we'll hear from Trafford King in a bit. First of all, though, let's catch up once again with Noah Osbaldeston. I mean, Noah, clean sweep of the weekend, which no one's done all season.
Yeah, it was definitely a much better race 3 for me. A little bit more, I think, slightly less intense, I would say. Yeah, just overall really happy to get the clean sweep. I was thinking in the back of my head during the race, I don't think anybody had done that all season. So to be the first person to get a clean sweep, that's definitely achievement.
Yes, I believe Trafford and Jake are the only ones who've ever done it. And yeah, we certainly haven't been able to do it this season. It's been a lot more, I don't want to say competitive, but we've had more winners than we've ever had.
Yeah, I think this season overall has been one of their better years for it. From what I know, obviously I didn't do the seasons before. A lot of the other drivers have though, and from what I've heard, it's definitely been a good season. But no, and the racing has been really fair, and it's been a great thing that 750 have been able to put on for us. So again, huge thanks to 750 for being nice enough to give us something to race over the winter season, because the people who can't test and can't race over the winter or abroad or whatnot have finally got something to race. And I think more series, a bit like 750, should do the same thing.
Well, Noah, it's been great having you with us for this off-season, and congratulations on a clean sweep.
Thank you very much. All right, speaking to you a bit, guys.
Noah Osbaldeston, we look forward to hearing more about his racing future. Certainly a very talented young man in the virtual world as well as the real world. I guess that means I've been privy to all 4 Noah Osbaldeston 750 Motors Club victories, which is something to say. So the final count as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 drivers on the podium as well. With James Ellis adding a second one in that race number 3. But we can now hear from the 2025-26 750 Motors Club Winter Sim Champion, Trafford King. How are you doing, sir?
Good evening. Better now that's over.
Yeah, tell us. I mean, you said you might not even make it tonight.
Well, I wasn't gonna, and then I thought I'll try and, I've done rest at rounds, championships there to take, so it was going to be a toss-up on results if I didn't make it. So I thought I'm gonna have to get involved here.
Well, I'm sure you're glad you did, because you and James in race 3 had one of the best laps of racing we've seen all season.
I was just screaming that bike. I was like, "Come on, James, keep it going," because we were just side by side for what, 3/4 of a lap or something. That was a right laugh. That might have been a bit more robust if there was points needed on the table. But yeah, it was good. No, good fun. It was mega.
It was so great to watch. It's your second championship in the Sim Championship, and your second in 6 months as well for 750 Motor Club competition.
Yeah, it's nice to be involved, and I'll be at the awards night anyway. So yeah, looking forward.
Yeah,
to
great.
it.
We'll be leaving there with 2 trophies now. Mega stuff. I don't know if I've asked you yet this season. Yeah, what you're racing in 2026?
I mean, I say it's still up in the air. It's 99% there that I'll be doing back in Type R Trophy again. Just got a couple of things to get across line, and if anyone else is interested in in a bit of sponsorship, bit of sim racing logos and logos on car and all that jazz, get in touch.
Yeah, I can vouch for Trafford, a great talent, particularly in the Type R Trophy. So we're looking forward to seeing you defend that crown. In the meantime, congratulations on winning the championship.
Thank you very much.
Trafford King there, now a 2-time champion of the Winter Sim Championship, and I look forward to seeing the Type R Trophy Championship being defended as well. Thank you very much all for joining us this season. The next 750 Motor Club competition will be at the first real world meeting of the season. As I say, go to 750mc.co.uk for more information on all of that. But from all of us here at Gridfinder and the 750 Motor Club, we'll see you very soon.